Hello everyone. Today, this was requested by a friend. We are going to be reading about Sark Prime. And no, before you say anything, this is a complete different character. He is not the original. He's a complete different character with a complete different storyline and lore. God, you people. Anyways, the owner of this character is rightly owned by Galaxy Knight. Voice actor is Anton, and Kaishi Cage is backup. He was created on September 13th, 2022. His age is unknown. He is obviously a male. His pronouns are he, him. Sexuality is aerial ace. His father is dead. His mother is dead. Species, archdemon of sharpness. Favorite food is raw meat. He likes fighting, violence, freedom of oppression, peace and quiet after a long conflict or task. He dislikes stitchlight, servitude to a figure of authority, excessive talking, memories of his past, and being made to do any sort of man-done task or busy work. His character type is rebellious, obsessed with fighting, and he's a loner. Occupation, Archdemon Warrior, hence his allies are Exegia's Regime and Demonkind. Archenemy, Stitchlight Prime, and he has no certain goals. His height is 6'0", his fur color is emerald green, and his eye color is red. Sark Prime is an official alternate universe variation of the original Sark from the Sondata Tsunami universe story by Jay's Cars. The character was owned and was initially created by Galaxy Knight with permission to officially stand as the definitive modern interpretation of Sark. Consistent J.K. Sark's controversial background, Sark Prime is a completely rewritten take on Sark that is meant to move him away from the consistent leanings of his original story by Jay's Cars, while attempting to keep the concept of what J.K. Sark, appealing to the fans that he did have prior to choose more infamous changes to his character. More specifically, to call back on Sark's reputation as a more biblically accurate demon, with more emphasis on his nature as a reflection of the darkness within humanity and an embodiment of suffering, a perpetuation of a cycle of hatred and bloodshed. The story. Rebellious and headstrong, young Sark Prime was an incredibly courteous and carefree sharpness demon, also known as a Sharper. Sark was raised in the heart of Sharpness Demon Society, a more trivial civilization that spanned multiple galaxies across the universe. Unlike the more royal monarchy system of angels and hiests, which was built of an expensive kingdom among the stars, demons had a more primal connection to planets and terrestrial worlds. Sharpness demons specifically had chiefs to lead individual tribes, which were often the strongest of a given group of demons. Sharpers had to fight the preceding leader of dominance, creating a society built on power. Despite this difference, they still had a king to rule all of demonkind at once. Sark's family was a renowned one known for their strength, serving under the original king of demons long prior to the main events of Nightmare Universe's prime story. At some point, Sark's family and all of demonkind were thrown into a great war. A conflict was sparked between the original four, the ones that formed the sides of demons and angels in the first place. It was during this war that Sark learned the brutality of life at an early age. Sark's father was a direct second in command to one of the original four, and the chief of the demon capital where Sark grew up. Despite being a rebellious kid, Sark looked up to his father, who was a powerful warrior and respected leader among his people. Sark lacked the ambition and motivation to climb the ranks of his kind, despite being gifted with great strength at a young age. He began struggling with himself as the war picked up its pace, but even then Sark fought bravely, and he enjoyed the thrill of battle. As the war reached a climax, Sark's father led his family into the heart of the final battle of his great conflict between angels, demons, and a mysterious third party. However, during this mission, they were all ambushed as a group by the empty enemy faction after an intense battle. Sark struggled to hold his own, leaving him a liability for his group and forcing him to retreat and examine the battlefield before him. The opposition had led a trap, triggering the collapse of the star system. The fight was taking place in with a powerful chaos magic incantation. The star at the center of the source began to grow in mass subtly, pulling in everything around it. As it reached its supercritical state, Sark, being the one who snuck around the battlefield to catch a glimpse of the caster, was caught off guard and defeated swiftly as he gazed at the sun in fear. This left his family helplessly aware of the threat, with no one besides Sark having noticed the incantation. By the time everyone realized, it was too late, and the enemy took this opportunity to lay waste to them under the unsteady environment and rapidly increasing force of gravity. Before long, the star exploded in a flaming vortex of chaos energy, lighting up the stars and taking Sark's army with it. His father braced him as he was barely conscious with the blast, taking the full force of the explosion just enough to allow Sark to survive within an inch of his life. As the dust cleared, Sark was alone, the blood of his own kind on his hands. He failed them in their darkest hour, and his mind only spiraled farther from there. Eventually, he returned to his home planet, the demon capital, now empty and desolate from the lives lost. The few that survived and remained after the war shunned or looked down at him, shaming him as a poor excuse for a warrior that fled from battle, abandoning his post as a coward. He was marked as a traitor, a weakling, one who brings dishonor to his people. The infamy of his very name eventually led him to live alone, secluded from the rest of society. Years passed. He grew older, more numb to the spite that others insistently expressed to him at every given opportunity, until one day, years later, a blinding light descended from the heavens, followed by a Garatanan ship. Sark woke up confused, dazed from his slumber. As the ship landed, countless demons from with their wings chained, bodies damaged and torn, had come down from the ship, led by Royal Angel guards. A single particularly powerful highest flew forward. Stitchlight, a member of the royal ruling class of angel kind. She declared this world to the place where all of demonkind was to be held prisoner for the rest of their lives under the decree of All Father. Before he could even react, Sark was bound and captured as well, resisting furiously to no avail. He was forced to watch and demons were all indiscriminately forced into prison chambers, no regard for mercy toward even children. The ship that they were transported on changed form into a massive dungeon of sorts. Sark was confused, his mind racing with the implications of everything. Demonkind truly lost. These few demons were all that were left of the Sharper race. Their kind was wiped out and now forced to rot for an eternity on a desolate conquered world. Following the incursion, Sark suffered for a long and painful few years with his people. They lost their minds, collectively believing that the end was truly near from all of them. However, Stitchlight was growing more and more curious with the nature of the race. She knew how impressive demons can be when pushed to the limits. And so, with boredom consuming her, she decided to hold a bloody tournament. All archdemons, the more powerful members of tribes, would be forced to fight each other in rounds for Stitchlight's own amusement. Those who didn't comply would have their families, partners, women, and children, what little they had left or held dear, executed mercilessly. Sark was one of the fortunate ones to be roped into this grand glorial hell, forced to fight his own kind in brutal matches to earn the right to live another day. As the battles waged on, Stitchlight proclaimed that the one who stands strongest among all others in this tournament would gain the right to be free with their loved ones. A frantic and panicked upsurge burst from the people as they all fought desperately for freedom. Stitch was pleasantly entertained, seeing demons crawl into the dirt and clawing at her just for the tiniest shred of possibility that they could be free from this nightmare. But among them all, Sark felt something awaking with him. Sark was unlike the others. He had nothing left to lose. There was nothing left for Sark to live for. Everything felt pointless. Everything felt empty. But there was one thought that rang clear. This was his chance to prove his might as a warrior. This was his opportunity to show he was no coward. Deep down, his mind raged and hungered for vengeance against those that shunned him for all his life. And so he fought. Sark became stronger and stronger, crushing everyone who stood in his way, climbing to the top of the ranks through blood. But even this was not enough for Stitchlight entertainment. The rules changed as time progressed. She changed the regulations for fights, ordered for there to be more violence, for weapons to be permitted, for dirty tactics to be used, before finally making it mandatory to kill your opponent. The reward climbed with the stakes, now allowing one to free all of the people if they had accumulated enough blood and to be crowned king of demons. With the rules growing more severe and harsh, the other demons became uneasy even with such a grand prize, many warriors among the ranks becoming more and more unwilling to participate in these battles, more unsettled and uncertain. But Sark never backed down. He lost himself to the heat of battle. He felt the thrill of war once more, flowing through him like a raging fire, and after countless battles of years of bloodshed, Sark finally did it. He earned an audience with Stitchlight. This was it. Everything he ever wanted. He could finally be free. He proved he was the strongest. He proved himself worthy to be the crowned king of demonkind. But as he finally approached those doors to meet with the highest noble, he was only met with agony. Guards chained him down, stabbing him in various places with the wings formed into spears, incapacitating him completely. Stitch approached, forming a blade from her wing that sparked with electrical edge before impaling him through the shoulder of his wings, electrocuting him violently. She taunted him, calling him a fool for thinking she would ever let such a vulnerable tool go too easily. She officially owns him the king of demons, but what little freedom she had as a slave fighter was long gone. He disappeared, the other demons assuming he left for himself. Before returning, broken, Stitch returned to the other demons in the cells. Sark, now no longer held in the cell, but chained and dragged behind her, somehow even more than a slave than before. With a resounding and sickeningly confident shout, Stitch announced that the tournament would continue. Sark would be ordered to fight only if she took interest in another warrior to put him against them, treating him like a weapon, a mere dog. And thus, demonkind was left to suffer, the fallen king forced to endure endless torture and to murder his own kind, forced to reflect on everything he's done. As Sark looks onto his own reflection, he realizes he was right back where he started, alone and shunned as a monster. At the events of his main prologue story on Demonkind's prison world, he is rescued by Exeter, but takes offense to his audacity to attempt to assume command of Demonkind moments after freeing everyone and showing up, while Stitchlight is off-world. This results in a duel between Exeter and Sark, which Sark loses, causing his sanity even further. The years of torture and the psychological trauma that Sark was forced to endure made his sanity collapse over time, causing him to fall deeper and deeper into a violent psychosis. Eventually, he was sent off to his Mobius, his insanity and his broken morals leading him to a genocide every living being on the planet, leaving none to survive. Hallucination visions of Stitchlight and many psychoses, including mental breakdowns, caused Sark to experience one big violent outburst, resulting in his conquest of his version of Mobius, even though his assigned task was to claim the world for the sake of demonizing his inhabitants and expanding the demon army. Sark looks back at his empty world and realizes he's alone once again. He's failed everyone and everything. He's become the very monster that everyone claimed he was. The cycle of suffering always brings him right back where he started. And he knew this. He knows what he is. And this is what he was meant to be, nothing more than an uncaring beast. And yet, why is that deep down he feels something?